Okay, so there's this story about a guy named Ronald Reed. You might have heard of him. He was a janitor his whole life, and when he died, boom, an $8 million fortune. And nope, he didn't win the lottery, didn't get some huge inheritance. He just saved, consistently, and let his money do its thing. His story just nails this really surprising truth, that building wealth, it's not really a hard science. It's more of a soft skill. What you do matters way more than what you know. To really get how this works, let's dive into a tale of two investors.
All right, so let's meet Marcus and Claire. They're both 25. Same job, same salary. I mean, everything is perfectly aligned. And on the exact same day, they make the exact same financial move. They each open up an investment account, and they both start putting in $300 a month into the very same index fund. Literally, everything is identical.
Okay, now let's fast forward 33 years. Marcus's account, it's exploded. We're talking $1.1 million. And Claire's? Well, hers is sitting at $520,000. Just let that sink in for a second. Same start, same monthly contributions, but a completely, wildly different result.
That is a $580,000 gap. I mean, that's more than $500,000, and it all came from the exact same starting line.
So, what in the world happened, right? How could two paths that started out exactly the same end up so incredibly far apart? Well, the answer isn't what you might think. It has nothing to do with picking the right stocks. It's all about psychology.
The biggest enemy in investing, it isn't the stock market. It's us. It's our own mind. Our brains just are not built to grasp how long-term growth really works. And maybe even more important, our brains aren't wired for how it feels to go through that process.
Okay, here's a piece of math that, once you really get it, changes everything. The vast, vast majority of your wealth, it gets built at the very end of the journey. I mean, that first decade, it feels like you're going nowhere fast. But that last decade, that's where the explosion happens. It's wild.
And just look at this chart. It shows it perfectly. See the wealth you gain in each of those decades? The first two are kind of slow, right? But then, look at that last bar. It's just gigantic. That one final decade can literally add more to your wealth than the previous 30 years put together. It's insane.
So this early period, we can call it the silent phase. You're doing all the right things, you're putting money in month after month, but the needle just barely moves. And that's what triggers something called our present bias. It's this glitch in our brain that wants rewards right now. So when we don't get that quick feedback, our brain basically tells us, hey, this isn't working, this is a failure.
And if that wasn't bad enough, our brains are also hardwired with something called loss aversion. Brilliant research from Daniel Kahneman shows that the pain of losing $100 feels about twice as bad as the pleasure of gaining $100 feels good. Think about that. And that is why a market crash feels so absolutely terrifying. It triggers this primal instinct to just sell everything and stop the pain.
So here's the secret. The investors who actually make it, they're not necessarily smarter. They're not magically calmer than everyone else. They just know the map. They know what's coming. They anticipate these totally predictable emotional hurdles that every single one of us is going to face.
And here they are. First up, you've got doubt. This usually hits in the first few years, right? The account is flat and you're just thinking, is this even working? Is this worth it? Then comes frustration. You've seen the charts, you know how compounding is supposed to work, but your account just doesn't look like that amazing spreadsheet. And then the big one, panic. The market inevitably crashes, and every single instinct in your body is screaming, get out, sell now, protect what you have left.
Okay, so if we know this whole game is about behavior, how do we actually win it? How do we build a system that protects us from ourselves? You do it by following a super simple, really smart order of operations. This has nothing to do with timing the market. It's all about building your financial house on a rock-solid foundation.
All right, here's the playbook. Step 1. Before you do anything else, build an emergency fund. This is your psychological buffer. It's your safety net. Step 2. Go after high-interest debt with a vengeance. We're talking credit cards, anything over 8%. Paying that off is like getting a guaranteed return on your money. Now, step 3 is absolutely crucial. Get your full employer match. I mean, come on, it's free money. It's 100% return on your investment. You can't beat it. Only then, once all that is handled, do you start focusing on maxing out your other tax-advantaged accounts, like your IRA or 401k.
And here's my favorite part. It's a tiny little behavior that has a massive impact. Ready? Just automate a 1% increase to your contribution every single year.
So if you're putting in $300 a month, that's just a $3 a month increase next year. You won't even notice it. But over 30 years, that tiny set it and forget it decision can add something like $180,000 to your final number. See, automation is how you beat your own lazy brain.
Okay, so we have the map now, right? We know the psychology and we have the playbook. Let's go back to Marcus and Claire. How did all this stuff play out in the real world to create that massive $500,000 gap?
Just look at how this gap starts. After 10 years, it's about 17 grand. Yeah, it's there, but you could kind of ignore it, right? At 20 years, it's up to 83 grand, okay? That's getting a little harder to sweep under the rug. But by year 33, that's when the magic of compounding really goes to work. And it turns those tiny little differences into that absolutely life-changing $580,000 chasm.
So what was the difference? What did they actually do? Well, Marcus knew the map. He saw those emotional checkpoints coming. So when the market crashed, what did he do? Absolutely nothing. He just stayed invested. Plus, he had automated that 1% annual increase from the very beginning. Claire, on the other hand, she just did what feels normal. She got scared when the market tanked, and she pulled her money out for about 18 months. She completely missed the rebound, and she never bumped up her contributions. Just two seemingly small behavioral differences with one massive, massive consequence. And look, at the end of the day, this isn't really about the money itself. It's about what the money buys you. At age 58, Marcus gets to turn down a big, stressful project at work. Why? Because he can. He doesn't need the money. That very same year, Claire is looking at her numbers and realizing she's going to have to work several more years than she ever planned to. See? The money gap. It becomes a freedom gap. And that, right there, is the difference that really, truly matters.
You know, Warren Buffett said it best. He said, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. He's not talking about some genius strategy, right? He's describing a filter. It's all about temperament. Success doesn't come from a fancy spreadsheet. It comes from just mastering your own behavior when things get rocky.
So now you know. You understand the predictable traps your own brain is going to set for you. You have the map, and you have the playbook. So the only real question left is, which one are you going to be? Are you going to be Marcus, or are you going to be Claire?